In this video, I'm going to challenge myself to survive 100 days on this island in hardcore Minecraft. And despite having limited resources, my goal is to transform the entire island into the ultimate survival base. Kicking it off on day 1, I spawned on this weird sandy area just beside the island, so after collecting some sugarcane, I went over to the actual mainland and chopped down my first tree. Using the wood, I crafted my first wooden pickaxe, and then dug down to get some cobblestone. With the cobble, I crafted all of the basic tools that we need, as well as a furnace. I also stumbled upon some iron while digging, so I went back with my upgraded pickaxe to gather it up. After smelting it down, I made some shears and then went looking for some sheep. I really want to get some wool so that I can make a bed and sleep the night away. I only found one sheep, so while I waited for it to grow its wool back, I continued exploring the island. I spotted a shipwreck just off the coast, so I crafted a boat and made my way over to gather the loot. I found more iron, coal, wheat and potatoes, and a treasure map. After going pirate mode, I made my way back to the island and sheared the sheep again, which luckily gave me 2 wool, so I have enough to make a bed now. And I was getting hungry at this point, so I made some bread with the wheat that we found and then slept away the first night. I began day 2 by making some chests for my items and then went looking for the buried treasure using the map that we found. And funnily enough, it ended up being right beside where we spawned. And it did have pretty good loot, but I really would have loved to get some diamonds, but oh well, what are you gonna do? Before heading back to the island, I wanted to reveal the rest of the map, because for some reason, leaving them unexplored just kinda bothers me. While doing so, I stumbled upon another shipwreck where I found moss blocks, a bunch more iron, some armor templates, and another treasure map. Sadly, the treasure map was for the same one that we already found, so I continued revealing the rest of the maps and then went back home. Back at the island, I unloaded all of my items and then crafted a full set of iron tools as well as an iron helmet and shield. I spent some time cutting down trees and then finished off the day by setting up a simple sugarcane farm as well as a potato and wheat farm. On day 3, I went full lumberjack mode and spent the entire day cutting down trees to make room for builds. In the process, I got 3.5 stacks of oak logs and close to a stack of birch logs, which I'm sure are gonna come in handy. I started off day 4 by crafting a bunch of fences and fence gates so that we can build 2 small animal pens. The larger of the 2 will be for cows and the smaller one for chickens. Conveniently, there were a couple of chickens close by, so I lured them over to the smaller pen and bred them. Next, I went looking for some cows, and I would have loved to bring the sheep over as well, but sadly, this wolf had other ideas.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
After grieving over the loss of our sheepy friend for a few moments, I carried on by bringing a couple of cows over to the pen and breeding them up. We're going to need a lot more building blocks, so I started digging a quarry where we can gather a bunch of resources. It's looking like a pretty boring hole right now, but if we add more details, I think we can get it looking pretty cool. I took a short break from digging the quarry at the start of day 5 by expanding the sugarcane farm and breeding the cows and chickens. After that, it was back to digging and making the hole look natural. A lot of this cobblestone is temporary, it's just all I kinda have to build with right now, so we'll switch it out with other blocks later. It's still looking pretty rough at the moment, but I put in a few pillars to look like it's supporting the ceiling. I want to extend a staircase all the way down to diamond level, so I started digging further down. I went back up to the surface, but it was dark, and I didn't want to risk dying to any mobs, so I spent the rest of the night digging further and further down, picking up any valuable resources that I found along the way. I went back up to the surface on day 6 and dropped off a bunch of my items since my inventory was full. After that, I expanded the sugarcane farm and then checked on our crops as well as our animals. Heading back to the quarry, I started adding more details to the entrance, like barrels and chests, patches of coarse dirt, and more pillars. I want to mainly use coarse dirt for the ground, but I'm all out of gravel, so on day 7 I went to the ocean to gather some up. I also found some iron and lapis while I was at it, which was a nice bonus. With a bunch of gravel obtained, I could now make more coarse dirt and begin replacing the rest of the ground. I really wish I had spruce slabs to use in between the coarse dirt, but sadly there's no spruce trees on the island. Honestly, not having spruce wood might actually be the hardest part of this challenge for me. I figured granite slabs would work decently instead, so I gathered some up and replaced the cobblestone slabs. The quarry is starting to look decent, but I'm not quite happy with it yet, so I continued detailing on day 8. I added more barrels into the wall, which I thought looked pretty cool, and then I spent some time adding a bunch of texture variation into the walls, as well as using slabs to smooth out all of the hard edges. I used my shears to gather up some grass, and then dotted it around the outside of the entrance, as well as a bit inside. After messing around with things for a few more minutes, I was happy with how it was looking, so I decided to keep digging down until we reached diamond level. I continued digging into day 9 and ended up running into a trial chamber. I'd love to explore it, but I'm way undergeared right now, so I left it be for now and kept digging down. As I was digging down, I found my first diamonds, which was awesome. I continued digging and stopped at Y-57 to do some strip mining. I was able to find a few more diamonds and then decided to craft a diamond pick since mining all of this deep slate with an iron one is starting to drive me just a little bit insane. I spent the rest of the day mining, but sadly I wasn't able to find any more diamonds. However, I was able to gather a bunch of deep slate and tough blocks, which is going to come in handy for some future builds. On day 10, I made my way back to the surface, and I placed stairs as I went so that it'll be easier to come down here next time. Back at the top, I dropped off all of my items and then spent some time harvesting the sugarcane and crops. I expanded the sugarcane all the way along the coastline, and honestly, this is probably overkill, but at least once it all grows, we should have more than enough paper for 15 bookshelves for our enchanting setup. We're also going to need leather to make bookshelves, so I bred the cows as well. I think it's finally time that we begin our starter house, so I did some basic terraforming to make room for it, and then began planning where I wanted the walls to be. With the first floor walls in place, I dug out a spot for the front door, as well as some windows. I continued working on the house on day 11 by building up some pillars for the second floor. After that, I spent some time planning out the shape of the roof line. I went for a deep slate brick trim, and then filled in the rest of the roof with oak wood. With the roof in place, I built up the chimney using cobblestone, and then started replacing some of the deep slate in the first floor wall with oak logs. At the start of day 13, I took a quick break from building to breed the cows, and then I went hunting for some clay in the ocean so that we can make bricks. I started smelting the clay and then got back to building. After contemplating what I should use for the walls on the second floor, I decided on stripped oak logs at the front, and then for the sides, I used a combination of diorite, polished diorite, and birch logs. It's a little bit of an odd mixture of blocks, but honestly, I think it kind of works. With the build palette of the house locked in now, I got to work filling in the remaining walls on day 14. To give the house some character, I also built a small balcony at the back of the house overlooking the water. As it started to rain, I finished the chimney using cobblestone and tough blocks. At the top, I placed a couple of campfires and surrounded them with oak trapdoors. To cap it off, I used cobblestone slabs. It's a pretty simple design, but I think it fits the house pretty well. Next, I spent some time texturing the first floor walls with a variety of deep slate, tough, and cobblestone blocks. Our house is getting pretty close to being done now, so I added the windows as well as the doors. I started day 6